strong to position the Pacific as picking sides, but clearly China's interests don't align with Australia and New Zealand. Is this a sign that New Zealand is softening its stance on China? And for Mr Albanese, do you agree with Prime Minister Ardern that the Pacific shouldn't pick sides?
Well, so the short answer to your question is no. And if you look at the context of the statement I was making, it was an acknowledgement that within our region, we've had the presence of the UK, France, more broadly the EU, China, Japan, New Zealand and Australia for a number of years. The presence of multiple donors, grant funders and interests in our region is not something that arrived in the last 12 months. That's not to say the approach of each of those donors hasn't changed over time. It's true that we have seen a more assertive position from China in our region. But whilst, our position is that we therefore, on that basis, shouldn't suddenly say to sovereign nations that they have to pick for whom their relationships are with, we are also very clear on our values and the way that we conduct those relationships. It should be the Pacific priorities first and foremost. They should be free of coercion. There should be high quality investment in infrastructure because that is what our region deserves. And finally, New Zealand is very clearly opposed to the militarisation of our region. We are very clear on this. And whilst that is our considered and strong position, for the region as a whole, we also have a position that for security issues, we should be coming together to discuss those rather than having situations where we don't have a forum for which we can put those strong views and values.
Yeah, look, I think Australia's position is very clear. That we are going through a period of strategic competition in the region that perhaps wasn't there a decade or more ago. That under Xi, China has changed its position. It is more forward-leaning, it is more aggressive. Australia's position is that we will continue to engage and we want to cooperate with China where we can, but we will stand up for Australian values when we must. And I think that's a perfectly consistent position. One of the things that we're seeing is that democracies like Australia and New Zealand, when we engage in the region, there aren't strings attached. We engage because that is the right thing to do. By lifting up the development of our neighbours, we have a responsibility to do that. And the more that we can cooperate on that, the greater the benefit will be. In Australia and New Zealand's case, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. When we work together, it equals 2+. And what I want to see with the reset of the relationship is us working together in as many ways as possible because we have such common interests and common values and indeed common populations quite often as well. There's such a seamless move between our two nations and that's why this relationship is so important.